Hello, it's me, Annalisa, with My Spiritual Friend. I'm back. It's Saturday night. I'm not doing a Sunday one this week because it's my daughter's birthday tomorrow, and I just didn't want to be busy doing this stuff tomorrow. And last week, I ended up, so I had to go do this training for Girl Scout troop leader stuff so that we could do our camporees, and so I had to get like outdoor training certified because so we had been in a really large group that had like multi-level, and so there was already other leaders that were certified, so they never needed like everybody to do it. But since we've broken off and we're in a smaller troop now, I had to do it. So, and it ended up being like an hour drive each way, so that's why I was just a little like tired and whatever. Who's here? Say hello. I don't know if anybody's going to show up. I might just be talking to myself. I posted a blog post today, if anybody's interested in that. Who's here? Say hello. Maybe you can't yet. Maybe you're hiding. Hi, Lexi. How are you? Thank you for saying hello. So as I said, I can't do tomorrow because it's my oldest daughter's birthday. She's going to be 14. And so, and then last weekend, I apologize for not being here, but I was down like about an hour south of here at a different Girl Scout camp. It was supposed to be the one when we signed up. Your birthday is the day after. Well, happy birthday today. How are you, McKeegan? So we, I did I learned that I know how to build a Barbie fire. We called it a Barbie fire. It was just a little mini fire. And about the different aspects of building a fire, and which I wasn't too worried about being able to do that. Then I learned that a charcoal briquette is 30 degrees for one. Hi, illuminating Leo light. How are you? Oh, thank you. I'm glad you liked the blog. So I'm starting to do that. I'm going to start doing that. That's like part of having a marketing person that we're like, do the blogs. It's like, and even if nobody reads them, it helps with the SEO. So you'll be getting blogs, and I'm going to be putting together a community. It's going to be a subscription community. But I'm not launching it till after November 19th, because if any of you follow any kind of astrological stuff of what's going on, where they talk about Pluto moving out of Capricorn. Oh, awesome. So I am a Cancer sun, 29 degrees, Aries rising, 0 degrees. It's like, so if you look at whenever you look at what a zodiac chart's supposed to look like, and they show Aries is always the first house, literally my birth chart looks like the regular zodiac chart. And my midheaven's in Capricorn. So I'm heavy cardinal signs in my chart. And so, and then starting in 2008 is when Pluto moved into Capricorn. And it's basically like a big karmic learning lesson. And let me tell you, the last 16 years have been hugely transformative and not very easy and fun at all. I'm a very different person since 2008. And 2008 was like my Saturn return. So it's been a rough ride. And my friend Paul, he's deceased now, but or crossed over, if you'd like to say it that way. He had looked at me, and it was like the last time I saw him in person, I believe, and he was like, "Oh my God, when you're 60, dang, like everything's going to be." So I'm like, that was rough. That was like 5-6 years ago now. I remember thinking, holy crap, that's so far away, but time flies. So, but I'm, walked away from my people pleasing ways and all of that stuff. And that's sort of what this time is about. If any of you are, have kind of a heavy cardinal sign, either I think it's Capricorn, Libra, Cancer, and Aries, especially in your top 3, your rising, moon, or sun. like this was a huge transformative time. And it's either you look at yourself and how it's like how you work at relationships, relationship to self, and the external world too, obviously. And mine's like heavy in the work because my 10th house in Capricorn is like that's your career path. So lots have changed. I went from being a registered nurse to one of my best friends is a photographer. She's like, "Can I send you an image?" She's not used to me doing my readings now. So she, hang on, let me just tell her I'm doing my live. Sorry, y'all. So I went from being a registered nurse to having my own spiritual business. And if you look at my whole chart, it's like, it's all of that stuff. So one thing I thought was kind of fun to do, I don't know if you guys, if you have a subscription to an AI, I think it works better, but because you want to ask a lot of questions, but you can like have them look at your chart and say like, how did the Pluto and Capricorn affect my chart if you put your birth information in and stuff. So I don't know, that's enough of that, but they won't replace real people, but it's still fun to do. So, okay. Illuminating Leo light, what's your friend going through? That you said she's going through the same thing I was kind of writing about in my blog. Who else is here? Say hello. Don't be a stranger. We're all friends here. I can just ramble and tell you all the other exciting things I've been up to. Lots of ice skating. I got people attaching it to evil. Yeah, I mean, I went through that. I went through a lot of that, or like, the devil's coming to get you, and that's all belief systems, right? And when you start looking at self-concept and like manifesting, like the law of assumption as a space from, sorry, let me put this on do not disturb so it's a little quieter. Y'all don't need to hear that. Oh, she's cute. Sorry. Little soft spot for cute grandmas. So when you look at, like, if you start looking at your spiritual journey and the world around you and creating your world from a place of belief systems, you start to look at everything differently. And like, well, where do people come up with those belief systems, especially around religion, like around fear-based things, around, you can't do it on your own. You have to go through somebody else, right? So you have to either, receive forgiveness through a priest or whatever it is. I was at, I have ice skating lessons on Fridays. I have them on Wednesdays too. I go twice a week, but on Fridays, because it's my hyper focus right now. Anyway, so on Fridays, I guess they had, I don't know if you know what sled hockey is for people in wheelchairs. So my daughters I was like, oh, look at this. Like, I like to expose them, especially to people who have different abilities, because I don't want them to ever look at somebody and feel pity for them, because while they may have their own, their different struggles than we have, they still deserve dignity and respect and admiration too. So we're watching it and I hear this old fart guy. I don't know if he's the coach or what he is. He's like, okay, girls, because it was mostly boys and it was varying ages. And I just was like, so then I hear him like explaining to my daughter. I said, oh, that's so misogynistic. And my daughter was like, what's that? And I was like, well, I started explaining to them. So she's avoiding trusting all the signs she receives and that she knows is from spirit. So, how do you know if something's evil or bad? I'm cutting off my own story because it's really not that interesting. It was just like looking at belief systems and where we have like everything in our life is about belief systems, and whether or not somebody's directly telling you you're less worthy, like by, like you're worthless, useless, blah, 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 whatever. Or it's just belief systems that one set of group of people is better than another. Whether it's, men being better than women or stronger than women, which is like, so, anyway, so one way you can tell your friend, first of all, tell her to follow me because I'm super down to earth about it. But tell her, like, So when you grow up in like a Christian-based religion, it's always like this idea that like somehow the devil is going to trick you and pretend to be really good, but really they're bad. So you're always like, I don't know how to tell the difference. I don't know how to differentiate. It also gives you that idea of like a sense of like insecurity around how do you tell if somebody is good or bad? Like just not a spiritual experience, right? How do I judge? How do I discern whether or not somebody is good or bad? It throws off your own trust of your own intuition. So like your intuition is not a nagging, anxious, fear-based thing. It's really calm, it's really quiet, it's really quick. And you can ask it to get a repeat if you're like, I'm not sure I heard that. Could you give it to me a different way or could you repeat it? But otherwise it's just like here and gone. It's much more subtle. And if something is negative energy, you know it. Like there's no doubting that. So when people say like you won't know or you'll get tricked, that's foolish. That's something we're going to cover. Like we're going to talk about in the community is like I was thinking of. I don't normally do card pulls or anything like that. Y'all know that you've been here long enough because I think I like to teach people how to do stuff, you know, without tools to show you that you're powerful enough. Without tools, you don't need all of that. Your intuition can be reached without any other things. But I'm going to go over different modalities and things like that and doing different things just because it's a community and that you want to learn. Like, that's like a fun thing to do. So I'll have different card pulls with different card decks, a different card deck each day of the week, and kind of create a pattern and then like maybe have okay, you want to use a different card deck, here's some options I have. But it's like also a way for you to teach you how to connect in and use tools if you need them. And I'll have, manifesting tips and we'll do some Q&As and things like that. So I'm just coming up with all the stuff, spitballing but I'm not going to be launching that until after November 19th because my chart is more favorable then. So, yes, I do believe in my astrological chart. Does anybody have any wanted questions, chat? Because I don't have anybody. Amy purchased a reading last week, but I couldn't be here. And so I was going to do it this week, but I'm on a totally different day. So she's, who knows what's going to happen. Does anybody want to just chat? I'm so glad you guys joined me on my weird time. Anyone? I had a cool experience. I don't know if you guys have watched long enough. Remember Meg? Meg's been on here a little bit. And she was buying an apartment, or no, selling her apartment, or her condo, because technically, I guess when you own it, it's a condo, not an apartment. And she had messaged me last week, and she and I are also friends. Like she sent me a ton of business. So she was like, oh my God, we're supposed to be closing. Now there's something they were supposed to be closing that day. And she's like, now there's something wrong with the lender and da, da, da. And I'm just messaging her back. I was like, oh, there's an error on the paperwork. You need to have them fix that. It's like no big deal. Just have them fix it. And so apparently she told several people this, and that's exactly what was wrong with the paperwork. But then the woman panicked and was like, it's a sign that everything's wrong. And I was like, so I connected with her higher self, and I was like, just calm down. I was doing all the thing. And then I was like, so what's going on? It's I knew she was calm. I was like, I know she's buying this place. I know she's buying it. I just, and then Meg was like, she backed out. And then she came back a couple days later. I guess the woman had to go and get something from the apartment that she was a sink, I don't know, something that she left there. She had to go get. And it turns out she fell in love with the apartment. It was oh no, this was I need to have this. This is my place. And so she went back and gave a cash offer. And so they're closing this Monday. So I was like, that's right. Okay. So I've been doing a lot of self-reflection and mastering and understanding yourself more than ever. If I understand me the best, then it makes me much harder to be controlled. Absolutely. The thing is when you start to like really connect in with yourself, and I guess I didn't like, so I spent years constantly looking for outside validation of my own value and worth, and that I was acceptable and lovable and all of that stuff. And I think that's why I talk so much about manifesting the law of assumption so much, because it was such a powerful shift for me when I was like, okay, so let's dive into this. Like, if we create our reality, if our thoughts create our reality, but not just our thoughts really, because you can have a bad thought here or there, right? But if our belief systems create our reality, then where did they come from? Like what could create subconscious belief systems? And it just all started to shift everything. And so then it was like also like, well, what follows I am is really important, and what my inner dialogue is really important. And as you do that, you start to go like, oh yeah, I just don't want to like tolerate that anymore. And you start to like develop really beautiful boundaries, right? And it's not about like controlling other people. It's like knowing where your limit is and then honoring where your limit is. And also like when you start to understand it, you start looking at people differently, right? And when you start to realize like the other thing is like is everybody is you pushed out, right? So when you see how people react towards you, or and if it's triggering, it's not that like they're reflecting like who you are as a person. They're reflecting your belief systems. So if somebody's acting like an a-hole and being a jerk to you, and you're like, it doesn't mean that you're the jerk. It means you don't feel like you're worthy and deserving of respectful treatment, right? There's a belief system of not being worth more. And so you stop, like when you say like it's harder to be controlled, will you stop thinking that somebody outside of you knows better? So for me, I was like easily manipulated because I always thought like, I grew up, loved my mother to death, but she even and my sister like severely neglected. And just recognizing that like I just thought, because I was a latchkey kid from a very young age. And so I just always assumed everybody else had more wisdom or knowledge about things than I do, that they must know better, because how could I have figured this out like on my own just through the struggle? So they must know better than I do, or they must have a better way, or they had a better family. So they must like, had a more of a, what do they call a nuclear unit? Nuclear. I always fuck that one up. Sorry. So it's like, I'm putting some lipstick on. I've decided I don't like dead lips, but I don't like crazy lips either. So, and I'm sort of like becoming weirdly obsessed with it. So just ignore me. So, but that's why I talk about looking at your self-concept. It's not because like, you don't have to do it in this crazy powerful way. Yes, it's like, it's helpful to do the sleep affirmations. It's helpful to like turn off some of the crap that's feeding your brain. But like also if you just look at it as like an experience of like really observation and observing how other people behave. Like that guy when he was saying like, oh, I call him, this is what he told this woman standing next to him. It's not that hockey guy. Oh, like he's definitely a boomer. Maybe inching up towards being what are the silent generation. Like he was an older guy. And he was talking to an older woman who was probably also a boomer. And he's like, oh, it really motivates them when he's insulting women, really motivates them for me to call him girl, because the more I call him girl, like, dude, kind of toughen up. And I'm like, fuck. Like, ugh, gross. That's 50% of the population. And also I'm watching this little boy's mom strap him up onto his little sled and thinking about like how hard she must have worked to get him there, because she probably had a million other things to do, and encouraging him and fighting for him the whole way through to like so that he doesn't feel that he's somehow less than other kids. But you're right. Let's go with that, mister. Like degrading women. So I don't know. I think when you start looking at belief systems, you start to see the world differently. You start to see how rigged systems are, things like that. It becomes a whole thing. Like it's not just about you connecting with spirit. It becomes a whole thing. Oh, I was saying that everybody, as you pushed out, you really start to realize like we are all interconnected, and your judgment of others sort of falls away. Okay. Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns? Does anybody want a reading, or do you want to do like just skip the individual readings and just go to like world stuff? I can do that. World happenings. I know that you guys are remaining silent. There's only a few of you that have said hello. I'll just pretend it's all my internet stalkers watching me. Thank you. I don't know if I have internet stalkers. I just think it's funny. Your brain has cobwebs today? I've been there. You can't even ask. Lexi, any questions? Illuminating Leo light. Do you have spiritual questions, meditation questions? I don't know if the site, I was doing those, I'm still doing them. The what do you call it? Gateway meditations. The site was down the other day. I don't know if it's still down, but you can find them on Spotify too. Let me see if it's still down. Yeah, it's still down. Archive.org is still down. So you can find them on Spotify if you're wanting to do them without. They've got ads at the beginning, but otherwise it goes through and it plays. It's not like right in the middle of it the way the YouTube ones are. All right. If no one's going to talk, I'm going to go because I can't ramble that long. It seems exhausting. Just say something. You can't think of anything either. Okay. Nothing. Man. Because I don't do good with doing the just like off the top of my head. Like, there's some readers are like, I was meditating the other day and I got all these answers to world problems. I don't tap in that well that way. Like if somebody else mentions it or says something, then I get stuff. But anyone? Oh, which email should you PayPal to? It's here. I'll write the link here. Hi, Chris. In Manila. Can you default? That's not a full. What? Hi, Maureen. Okay, so these are if you want to do personal readings, they're paid readings, like just like about your personal connection or things like that. They're $12. I'm gonna do the link for the PayPal, and I donate 30% to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. So I'm not asking for a ton of money. But if you want to do general readings like world events, things like that, that's free because that's like for everybody, right? No, it's the one with my face on it. Here. The butterfly one is the other one. Let me just double check that this works. Okay, the one I just posted in the chat is the one, and I'll pin it. I always forget. Okay. Hey, Lotus Siren. On Bitcoin, which is there like one in general, or what do I think about Bitcoin? Oh wait, Bitcoin is the one, right? That's the big one. Fuck, I don't know. See, I don't really do much with it. So I talked about this a while ago when someone was asking me was Bitcoin that I said was going to be more like I think I said something like MasterCard, and I actually think that they ended up connecting somehow financially, which I didn't realize. And then I was like, there was another one they asked me about, like Dogecoin. There was a guy who used to be on here a lot, would ask a lot about that stuff. I mean, that's one that will become like, that will be, let me start this way. So, there's like all the conspiracy theory people who are like, we're going to have a whole new currency system and they're going to totally get away with it, get rid of all X, Y, and Z. I think that in 2026 is what I just felt. There'll be more of a shift to like making it a major mainstream type thing where it's kind of like everybody has it, just like, people using Apple Pay or things like that. Like it's just like a different, which I know is like just a way to have a wallet, whatever, but it just feels like it would be something in somebody's wallet and a little bit more used. But then it's more regulated and you don't have all these things where people can like, where they have like cold storage wallets and things like that for, where it's like, when someone's like, oh, I misplaced that thing and now it's like $240 million and I can't get it back, that kind of thing. It's going to be more regulated. Is it worth investing in? I don't know. I don't like. Yes and no. Wait, hang on. My question is, what is coming on my way in terms of love and career? Okay, hang on. I see some quack jobs advocating. I think it's called XRP. Oh yeah, I've seen those people too. I do kind of go down the conspiracy theory like rabbit holes a little bit just to see what people are thinking. Then I get all this weird right wing like stuff where I'm like, oh, that's not like, just out of curiosity. I'm like, what do people believe? What are they being fed? I am always amazed at what people buy into. Because both are now have a spot EFT trading on the stock market. Right. So Bitcoin, I feel like is going to be by 2026, like more, like more like everybody would have it as a way, right? I don't see like a heavy, fast jump in its value, rather just like a steady incline. So, I mean, don't go all in or anything, but if you have a little bit of extra, because obviously I'm not a financial advisor, right? This is for entertainment purposes only. I don't see it like being like a major fast increase, but it will over time, because it's going to be becoming more mainstream, like SETI. But 2026 feels like when it's really kind of implemented as a more mainstream thing. And I don't know why I'm getting that one year specifically. Okay. McKeegan said, of love and career, which do you want first? I actually feel like you're doing some interviews in November, which is kind of a weird time of year to do them. Just because it's end of year. But I see you kind of looking more for jobs in November. But the movement isn't right away, maybe not till like February, March. So maybe it's like just a slow process of interviewing. Um, it's interesting because this is not to say that you're not skilled or intelligent, but I almost feel like you're a personality hire. So they feel like you would fit with the staff really well and you bring in a good energy. And so they do that, but it's like you may not be fully qualified for the job, but they're willing to train you. So think outside of the box when you're looking at stuff. Also, I got a little star topper because I'm a rock star. Sorry, stupid little things. It's the little things that make you smile in life. So I feel like that's what's happening with your job. Like I actually feel like it's not going to be in something in your field. I'm not picking up a field. It just feels like the feeling I'm getting is that it's not necessarily that you're fully qualified for it. It's like you're a personality hire. I have so when I got my new ice skates, I got different soakers, which are like the padded thing so that any moisture that comes off as like the blade warms up and the condensation occurs, it pulls it away from the blade so it doesn't rust. They look like little ice cream cones with a little ice skate on the back. They look like literally like I have a stuffed animal in my bag. Yeah, D, questions are still open. It's been a slow start to the evening because it's a random day. It's not my regular time. Dude, I just don't see the love stuff coming in for a little bit, but I think it's more that you're not really fully putting yourself out there. So it might not be till next July that you're like, I think it's before then that you're starting to put yourself out there, but I just don't think you're there yet. Like July is when I see someone kind of coming in. And I'm happy to be wrong, and you can change your mind anytime. All right, Maureen. There you go. So here's what I'm going to say. So when you see people coming, and this can be for anybody when you're dating or friendships or whatever, when you see people that are coming towards you and you're like, it's not to say like that's what I'm attracting, but maybe there's a subconscious belief system in there still of like, it's not possible to find love or only the yucky people come along or whatever it is. So just like look at that. Just be like, oh, what triggers this about me? Well, that's interesting. Why would I have a belief system that this is what I attract? I'm just saying. Okay, Maureen, what did you want to ask? I've thought about that. I've noticed that these people in particular come across charming, but quickly kind of show themselves as controlling. And I'm instantly like, ew. Okay. So I'm pretty sure I remember your brother being slightly this way. So then you're going to look at like, the other thing is like, oh, you can look at it like, I'm noticing these behaviors earlier in people because when you have like a people pleasery personality and you accept and allow a lot of not so great behavior because you either feel like you're not worthy or deserving or the other part of that is like seeing the potential for good in people instead of just believing what they're showing you. You tend to attract a lot of like not great people in all areas. It's not just a romantic thing. So like friendships, work situations, not inappropriate work situations, just to, you know, coworkers. So just like look at that. And if you notice it earlier, then it's not like this is only that's ever going to happen. It's like, oh, I'm noticing the red flags earlier. That's great. That means I have done some healing. That means I have grown. And so it can only get better from here. So the idea that like, oh, we've healed, and so we'll never be around any bad people again, or we'll never attract or have those kind of people in our life ever again is naive, ignorant, sophomoric. But really what it means is like when those people come in, you have better boundaries, you have better self-respect and care for yourself. So then like you don't give them your time and attention. Hi, Dee. Okay, Maureen, what was your question? Your question's in PayPal, Dee. Okay. Maureen, did you disappear on me? Oh, do you know his first name, Dee? Could you just give me his first name? Since I'm waiting on Maureen, I'll just go ask yours. How do you feel about Matt and Aaron? Oh, okay. You don't, ma'am. Get a name. Okay, let's look. Okay. Lots of family changes. Well, what's your specific question about your family changes? Because okay, and then let me do with D's first, and then I'll get yours. Okay, so okay. So I actually think he's in a relationship. For D, I feel like he's at the end of it though. It might be another, I keep getting like 2 months, 3 max. God, I hate to encourage you to keep talking to him. I want to say this. I feel like he is a faithful person. I don't feel like he would, so he sees this as friendly, light banter. I don't feel like he's someone who would cross boundaries and break somebody else's trust. But I don't feel like don't not talk to him. I just feel like understand that like nothing would happen until that relationship ends for him. I don't know if that resonates at all. Yeah. So it just feels like, but it just feels like, so I'm showing 2 to 3 when I see like the ending of this relationship he's in. It could be as soon as 2 to 3 weeks. Like I'm happy to be wrong on that. But it just feels like that's what it feels like. Hi, Baseman. How are you? I hope you're having a good Saturday night. Okay, Maureen, let's look at them. Sorry, Matt and Aaron. Does Erin suffer from migraines or headaches? I just feel like a lot of pressure in my head and some nausea. Do you know about any kind of? Is she pregnant? I honestly wouldn't be surprised if she is. Maureen, I think that you're delayed. So if, like on the bottom of where you're watching, there's like a bar. If you just drag it all the way to the right. Everything is good with me, Baseman. I'm on because one of my daughter's birthdays is tomorrow. So I wanted to be able to like just focus on her. And last week I wasn't on because I had a Girl Scout thing. I was getting certified to like camp and stuff outdoors, which is I have to have it in order to be able to do these things called camporees. But it's kind of funny because if you knew my troop, my members of my troop, like we might glamp. I don't know if we'd actually camp. But they'd probably like cooking, maybe. It's just they're a fun group of girls, but they're funny. We went on a short hike last year, and two of the girls were just like, "Oh my god!" It wasn't even like a big, huge change in elevation or anything. So we're they really enjoyed the STEM stuff and like doing the mechanical stuff and like building different things. And as long as I like made it so it was crafty and like you could make it sparkly, they were like super happy about it. Maureen, I was with you. I just think that you're delayed, so I was trying to get you to speed up. So what I was saying is, I was kind of waiting to see if you would catch up because I feel like Erin suffers from headaches and like migraines because I felt really nauseous. And you know that feeling when you get like really nauseous, like you just like it's like a weird, like you can't, you just like there's a weird breathing thing with it too. And so I said I thought maybe she's pregnant. I feel like a baby coming in for them pretty soon. So even if they're like, so does that resonate at all? Does she have headaches? Can you tell me that? Has she been complaining of headaches, nausea? That could be. I mean, I feel a baby coming in soon for them. Did they get engaged? Like what happened? What's the big excitement? But I feel a baby coming in for them. I do feel she's very anxious around this, I have to say. So I don't know if it's just like a big surprise, not great timing. Um, no apologies. So I want to say this too when you ask the question, like, how do I feel? Like, I have no opinions about anybody doing anything. I have all kinds of clients. They do all kinds of jobs, attorneys, judges, doctors, nurses, therapists, sex workers, like all kinds, all around the gamut. Some questionable business practices. I don't care. I don't have any judgments about it. I'll just give you the information. You're having a hard time. I know. There's a bar on the bottom of the screen when you watch this, and you can just drag it, kind of like the scrolling bar that's usually on the left or right of your screen, or it would be on the right of your screen. There's a scrolling bar for the time on the bottom of the screen. If you drag it all the way to the right, you will catch up to us. My eyes look an interesting color with this. It's like they're the same color as the shirt. I've decided that they just reflect whatever I'm wearing because of the color of them. They're so light. Okay. While we're waiting for Maureen to figure this out, Dee, do you want to ask your second question? Oh, it's in PayPal too. Okay. So you want to know what Tim's feelings and thoughts are towards you. I gotta tell you, he's kind of a meh personality. It's like cardboard. I feel like he has like a, how would I say this? He's very set in his ways and the way he thinks about things and life. And I feel like once he makes a decision, he doesn't doubt that decision or waver from it once he's made his mind up about somebody and how they are. Like he can't see them in any other way. He doesn't have the ability to empathize much with others. Um, so I'm saying all of that because I feel like it's just kind of like, oh, it's done. We're like, I don't feel like he looks at you like, some guys will be like, oh, she's crazy. She's this, she's that, she's such a. It's just like, it feels very matter of fact. Like it didn't work out and I'm moving on. Like I don't feel like he's not one who reminisces a lot. I don't know if that resonates for you, but that's what I'm picking up. So it's not like I think she's crazy and I hate her and I'm going to talk crap about her all the time, but I also feel like it's not like he's just, that's just not his personality. So I don't know. Does that make sense for him? Also, another thing I'm going to teach about, because I bought all these different books and stuff in the community thing about sigils and things like that, do sigil work. Because some of the stuff is stuff I do for myself, but I don't teach it because I'm like, it's more because I think it's fun than than like this is the only way you can do it. And I thought of sigil work here because I thought someone was talking about how you can build belief systems around, like, even when people are talking about you, it's still bringing you money, or it's bringing you success. It's bringing you, all good things, even if they're saying bad things about you. It's like it amplifies that. So it's like creating the belief systems around that. One way is to do that with using sigils. Okay. Maureen, are you still here? Are you caught up yet? Was there anything in particular you wanted to know about Mark and Aaron? No, not Mark. Is it Mark? Matt and Aaron. Does anyone want to say anything? Crickets. Nothing? Are we quiet? Are y'all all behind? Am I like waiting for this major time delay or what? Does anyone have any general questions they want to ask? Baseman, how are you doing? Do you have any questions? Are you still here? And thank you for the happy birthday to my daughter. She's she's not happy she has to get glasses. That was our big outing this week for her. All right. Well, I'm going to say goodnight since y'all are silent. I hope that y'all have a wonderful week. I will be back next weekend at the regular time and day. We're missing a lot of people because I've got several people in here who watch from across the ocean, different continents, et cetera, et cetera. So I will see y'all next week. Okay. Oh, wait. Do you see anything major coming up for 2025 that we should be aware of? Okay. Okay. I'll answer that. I got to narrow it because I just keep getting like shown. There's going to be a lot of weather stuff next year, weather and earth related stuff next year. So I feel like some of the stuff with Israel is going to come to a screeching halt is the feeling I get in February. It might also be with the Ukraine. I think they're going to be making changes sooner. That some of that is coming up because Kamala will be in office, and it'll sort of be like a big, like, I hate to say this, I think they're delaying it to make it more political. So it feels like screeching halt for that in February. There's also going to be a lot of fires and stuff. There's like, it's going to be, I feel like one of the worst fire seasons. California and Australia are going to be really like the West Coast, because not just California. They're both going to have really bad fire seasons. And I feel like there's going to be a really big hurricane in October. This is for 2025. I don't know if this is stuff to be aware of because I'm just like picking up random stuff. Like I see people walking down the stairs of a large skyscraper. I feel like it's in New York City, but it feels like it makes news that I don't feel like something, I don't know if it's a big power outage or what, but I just feel like I keep seeing people walking downstairs. It almost looks like lemmings, like of people just walking down the stairs. It feels like a power outage, but I don't understand. I have no context to like as to why this happens. Um, I feel like it's New York. I feel like some other areas are affected, but it's like I'm not 100% sure on that. Mother Nature. So I know a lot of people want to say like these are man-made, like what's going on in Appalachian is all man-made and things like that. But they're man-made in the sense that we have not kept up with infrastructure. We have lived based on capitalism and growth and greed and controlling other people through our military industrial complex, etc. So when you do not do regular maintenance and making sure that water flows are correct and that dams are built strong enough and everything else, then it creates major problems. When you continually um, take nutrients from Mother Earth through mining, you end up with, it was interesting. I saw something around within the Appalachian Mountains. They mine for, I think it's lithium. No, it's some kind of quartz for that they use in TVs and things like that. And what gets left behind is sand. Like that is the byproduct of it, and they just dump it out. Well, that's not a good footing for anything. So it encourages that. So it just, when we say man-made, I'm not saying like there's a machine or whatever, but it could have been better had we continued to take care of things. The fact of the matter is, when I was in school, I was born in 1978. When I was in elementary school, early 80s, I remember learning about climate change. I have really amazing science teachers. I've always been heavy science person, heavy math person, like love, love, love. And they've been talking about this. Capitalism, corporate greed has been ignoring this on growth, expansion, having all of the things, not taking care of our environment. That's what's making this worth, not taking care of our infrastructure. And so like when you said that, I was like, no, I kept getting shown like, no, it's because like even like with the flow of the rivers, like not making sure that like erosion wasn't like helped to take back, and building on land that wasn't safe, just again out of greed of making money on profit off of things. um, and then we have climate issues now. Some of it is because there's natural flows within the earth, and the magnetic poles shifting and stuff like that are going to increase them and make them worse. But it's also allowing people to build in places that are not appropriate to build in. I know in Houston they don't have a lot of building codes, and like they just put concrete over everything. It was like wetlands. It was essentially like marshes and swampy areas, and they just put concrete over it. Well, those areas are meant to drain and take care of things. So if you make the drainage unavailable, you create flooding. So it's a combination of both. But it's not like somebody with a machine at HARP. Do they have the ability to seed clouds? Yes, but that's not what's creating these big storms. It's you know because we stopped looking at what was important and taking care of what was important, because we just, through greed, and I say we as in just general, through greed and desire for expansion and filling pockets, there was a lot of things done wrong, and desire for power and controlling people. Like I mean, when you look at the military industrial complex, the Pentagon had like $3 trillion and they can't account for it. But like the IRS gets pissed off when you don't account for $1.25, and they're going to make sure they get their $1.25. So there's just a lot of shadiness in that sense. And like, us needing to have military bases in every other country, yet no other country has military base here. Like, it's colonialism, colonizing. It's not to be cynical, but yeah, it's not. Science is real, and yes, we're learning new things all the time and coming up with new things all the time. But this isn't like, I mean, look at both sides of the government. Like, look how dumb they are in so many instances, and it's just like stupidity flowing both ways. Like we allow all of our congressional members to just trade willy-nilly without having limits and/or having to have like blind trusts for their trading. I mean, we allow them essentially insider trading. That's both sides of the table. So, I mean, there's good stuff coming in too. Like, so some of this means that when we see this stuff happening, we take an abrupt halt on things like, unnecessary wars and controlling other people. And we start looking at like, how do we help the environment? How do we help our infrastructure and take care of people? There's going to be massive good changes coming in too, like healthcare for everybody, making sure our healthcare system just doesn't completely crumble to shit. There's going to be good things coming in too. That I can promise. Just hang in there. Any more questions, comments, concerns? But yes, I will be voting for Kamala and Mr. Walz. I love him. I love what he's done for Minnesota. I love that he's, made sure that kids get provided with lunches. So I'm hoping he has a heavy, heavy influence on some policies and stuff that come in to change things. All right, so I'm going to say goodnight unless anybody else has any questions. I'll wait just a minute. So you can download my 5 free manifesting techniques that are, a little different than others just because they're done through my intuition. That's free. You can go check out my blog and have a wonderful evening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And if anybody wants a private reading, you know where to find me, myspiritualfriend.com. See y'all later.